In this video, we test out the new AI PTZ Industrial from Unifi, which has a bit of a party trick. Today is a pretty special day on the farm because I've got the AI PTZ camera from Unifi. Look at it, it's huge. This is a massive 22 times optical zoom PTZ, so pan, tilt and zoom camera that it's heavy. It's actually, I'm gonna, how do I even hold it? I'm gonna put this up there instead of the AI turret, which is gonna go somewhere else, because there I have like a 270-degree pan on that corner of that shed, so that'll be pretty cool. But I think first we need to get out of the box because I can't wait to see this. Even got like a canvas strap. It's really nicely packaged. Anyway, let's get out of the box. This box is so big that I had to change my whole setup of how I normally film things that comes out of boxes. Yeah, I don't know if it comes across, but it's really big. Anyway, let's get it out of the box. And of course, that means, you ready? Whee! Very good. All right, so this is really nice. That strap actually feels solid. I'm like, and we're just gonna throw this box out probably. So that's a bit of a pity, but very nice, very nice. All right, let's see what we get here. Okay, so the top already has this mount. How do I get that out? Hello? I'm not sure. Like that, okay. And this is some sort of metal, aluminium composite, or alloy. Very good. Even has a little, geez, this is chunky. It's chunky. Has a little wire here for strap. I'm assuming this is to hold it in place so we don't drop it on the ground. So that's heavy duty. All right, let's see if I can show you. Here it says installation guide, so you can scan that QR code. That is, I don't know, hardware kit, not packaging. Okay, hardware kit. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Wow, these are proper bolts for concrete or something, or brick in the wall, I'm assuming. That's nice. This is very chunky. These are huge for fastening. I don't know what they're called. I'm not a builder. But for putting into the wall. There's a big Allen key. There is probably something that secures it somehow, a screw of some sort. There are more bolts for the Allen key, okay. There's some more bolts, big bolts. Wow, and it's all very heavy, chunky stuff. Drop it everywhere. All right, we got a box of something. Let's see what's in the box. Move that there. Okay, so we have the grommet for the Cat 6, so it goes into it. There's another alloy mounting plate. Oh, that looks like a pole mount there. There's some really, really big hose clamps, so this is probably for mounting it on the pole. And there's 4 of those, 2 of different sizes. Wow. And we have more bolts, heavy bolts. And what else we got in here? That is it. There's some instructions. Here's another mount. This is all aluminium. There's no plastic in this, pretty much at all. So that is, again, comes with a wire and a carabiner sort of hook here, so you don't lose it. All right, and here's probably the grommet that goes up through. That's where the cable comes in, so that must come through there, up through there, down through here into the camera, I'm assuming. That is, that's heavy as well. Okay, packaging. Then there is this. That is a table stand. So you can actually mount this upside down inside on the table, like that. I'm not gonna do that, but you can. And then we have the main attraction. Come on. Ooh, comes in a little bag. Very nice. That's it. Nothing else in the box. And the little bag has the camera. Not so little bag. It's a huge camera. All right. Oh, okay. Holy moly. So there's the camera. So that's the pan, we got the tilt, and of course the zoom, 22 times zoom in there as well. And up the top, so that zoom, that can swivel on there, actually feels really loose. Whee! Up the top is the connection for the Cat6 RJ45 connection. And here is another hook so that we don't lose it, so we can hang this from everywhere. That would be nice with installation. Right, wow. Well, in this case, I can use the table stand, can't I? Look at that. Ta-da! But that's it, that's what there is in the box. A lot of heavy stuff, a lot of really solid mounting. So I think we're going to install it first, and then we'll look at all the specs and features and whatnot on paper and for real. So before we install the new AI PTZ Industrial, I do have to remove the AI turret, and I have to put up a board here because the bracket is too big for just putting it on here. But before we do that, maybe now is a good time to subscribe to the channel. There's a big red button down below, and this year I'm going for 50,000 subscribers, and I'd love to have you join the community. So if you like the content and you appreciate all the hours I put into it to create it for you, why not subscribe to the channel? Yeah, I'd love to have you. But I think first we got to take this off, and we got to put up a board so we have somewhere to mount the brand new AI PTZ. Bracket is on now. This is on. Yes, the shed might be a bit old and crappy, but it's an old farm shed, but this is not going anywhere. One weird thing though, these bolts are made of, I don't know, unobtainium. They like feel super solid, yet all the corners are rounded off on them. So you can't grip them properly, like with a, I don't know. Maybe I don't have the right tool, but it was just weird, I thought. I have put the grommet on here on the Cat6 already, because I always mess it up doing the wrong way, but now it's right. So I'm gonna now put this bit on. That's the bit that holds the camera right there. So that just, well, we'll get to this in just a second, but this just slides on like this. Nice. This is for holding the lid, so you don't drop the lid. I'll get that in just a second. First, I gotta put these bolts in. Again, very nicely made. They go in the top here, one on either side, so this doesn't fall off. Now I think, well, I'm getting the cable coming in from the back, obviously. There also seem to be like portals or gates here on either side, so you could put the cable in through there, I think. It would look a bit odd, but it seems to be cable shaped. I'm not entirely sure. And it also seems like it can come from the bottom. So there's many options for mounting this, it seems, in terms of where the cables goes. But let me just put these on. And then I'm going to put the cable down through here, and I'm just going to loosely attach it at the top because I'm betting I'm going to get it the wrong length anyway. So, but it fits very neat and snug up here. So obviously we're dealing with really heavy camera stuff, so we don't want to drop anything. Imagine you're doing this on like the 4th floor and the 40th floor. So there's a really, really nice little carabiner sort of hook here. So we put the lid on that, maybe, like so. And now that's not going to fall down. Hey! And there's a similar one here for the camera. It's very neat. They thought of everything. So I'm not going to put the lid on just yet because there's another safety screw here that's going to go into the camera. So we'll do that in just a second. All right, here's the party piece. First step, attaching this because it turns and stuff. It's a bit. There we go. So now. It hangs, so if I were to drop it, it should be okay. So let's attach it to here. And I don't think it matters which way you attach it because it seems to be a like infinite turn. It doesn't seem to be a stop like on the other PTZ cameras that I've tried from Unifi, or the G5 PTZ. So let me just get this out here and we'll attach the cable. Give it a bit more rope here. Now I haven't plugged this in yet, and I'll get to that in just a second in the other end, but I'm going to plug it in here. Click. And we shall then attach it here. This is tricky because I've got to pull this up. There we go. And now it's starting to rain as well. It's going well. Okay. I think that's correct. The Unifi logo is pointing that way. I think that's right. I'm going to just tighten up the grommet up here. All right, and then there's a special long bolt, hey birdies, that goes down from the top here, and it goes down into the camera itself. So we're connecting now that with the camera, which makes sense. So now that shouldn't go anywhere. And so now we put the lid on, which has 3 little screws. It's all thought out. So we'll plug that on here. Nice. Right, lid's on. So we probably need to take this plastic off, otherwise we're going to get a weird image. And here's the 22 times zoom goodness. Look at that. Nice. So no power to it yet. And speaking of power, I have got a PoE++ adapter because this camera is PoE++, requires 51 watts or something. We'll get the specs in just a second. So I need this because this is hooked up to my flex switch in the shed, which does not have PoE++. So I need this. So I'm going to go hook that up. I'm going to turn it on, adopt it, and we'll see what it does. AI PTZ Industrial is installed. Yes, I know it's more of a farm install. This is not what I do for a living. So feel free to comment on the install because I know you will anyway. But it's there, it's not going to fall down. It works really well and it has a really nice 270-degree angle on it. So I think next, let's jump in and have a look at the specs because that's always interesting, I think. And then go through all the features and we'll do some tests on all the things it does. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's quickly go through the specs for the camera because they're kind of impressive, as you might have expected. As you can see, the first thing, of course, is that this is $12.99 US. For those of my viewers that are in Australia, I do not have a price for Australia yet, so I don't know. We can only go by the US price. This is pretty much half the price of the G4 PTZ Industrial when that came out. So that's a good start, I think. Yes, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of camera. Like it is well built, and yeah, I'll show you all that later, how well it performs. But anyway, there's some really cool things about it. As it says, it's an industrial grade, and it really is. Everything is metal, aluminium alloy, like really heavy duty stuff. It runs on PoE++, and it's PTZ, of course, we knew that. 22 times optical zoom, long range adaptive IR LED night vision. It comes in black and white, so there is the black color as well. I have the white, which is fine for me. I don't mind the white cameras. But let's go down to the technical specifications because that's kind of what I wanted to show you. So we have the overview. It is 223 mil or 22 centimeters or 8.8 inches by 13 inches, so 22 centimeters by 34. It is big. It is a large camera compared to anything else I've tried from Unifi. It is big. So you got to make sure you have room enough to mount this thing because it is imposing. IR night vision, 100 meters. Yeah, I haven't seen this before. The most I've seen is 40. And that's either is it the AI turret, I think, or the enhancer on the G5 Pro or the AI Pro also gets you up to 40. 100 meters, that's some serious IR power. But of course, that goes with the zoom, which is 22 times optical. So there's a big difference, if you're not aware, between optical and digital zoom. Optical is the actual glass. So optical zoom means that this is a 4K camera. At 22 times zooms, you're gonna still have a 4K image, right? Now it's up to how well the glass works for focusing or zooming in, how clear it is, of course, but you still get 4K. On digital zoom, you're essentially just cropping it, right? So it's just zooming in it by cropping the digital image. So you won't get the full 4K if you were using digital zoom. So that's why 22 times optical is a big deal. Yeah. It does face recognition, license plate recognition, smart detections, all the AI stuff. It's a 4K camera. And field of view is 3 to 64 degrees horizontal and 2 to 37 degrees vertical. Of course, that has to do with the zoom as well. So, but it is very wide angle when it is fully zoomed out to 1 times zoom. Pan tilt range. This is kind of a neat thing because the G5 PTZ that I used wasn't endless pan. Like you would have a stop. So you go one way, it'll stop, and then you go the other way. So it's still sort of 360 or 355, but it wouldn't continue to rotate. This one does. It never ends, so it'll forever, go around, which means that it's quicker to get to certain positions. Yeah, the tilt is 120, so that's the up and down, 120 degrees, and of course it is IP66, fully outdoor, weatherproofed. It is meant to live outdoor. I wouldn't want to know who puts this inside. Anyway, mounting, wall, pole mount, or desk stand, as I showed you, and it runs in Unifi Protect. There's not a lot here. It is a gigabit connection because there's a lot of data, a lot of stuff going on, so it's gigabit. You can change a whole bunch about the image. I'll show you that. And maximum is 30 frames per second and 8 megapixel sensor. The sensor is a 1/1.8, so reasonably large for a security camera. If you want to know more about that, I went through that in the G6 Instant video. There's something about the sensors, so go and check that out. And of course, it has LEDs, etc. The max power consumption, this is why we need PoE++, not PoE+++, which is also known as PoE++ level 4, I think, type 4. But it does need 51 watts at max power consumption, which is a lot. That is more than my entire gate setup with sensors and 3 cameras and an intercom and a switch and everything else uses. This is higher at peak. It has a quad-core ARM Cortex-A53 base chip. Unifi uses that in a lot of high-end cameras. I'm not familiar with this chip as I maybe I should be, but let me know in the comments if you have opinions on which chipset they should use. If not this one. Weight, 3.8 kilos without the mount. The wall mount itself is 3 kilos, so all up, it's almost 7 kilos or 15 pounds. It's heavy. It's a big unit. I keep saying that, but it is. And it's aluminium alloy. And again, I've never had any problems with it. Some people have for some reason, but I've never had any problems with the aluminium alloy. And that's it. Of course, there's a micro SD card, but I'll get to that a little bit later. So that's it. That's the features. All right. If you like the content and you want to see more, like behind the scenes stuff, or maybe a few extra videos or something like that, you could become a member of the channel. For this particular video on the AI PTZ Industrial, I have created a few extra shorts. There's some more posts about, what goes on behind the scenes when I'm recording this. And if you're interested in that sort of stuff, then becoming a member of the channel and supporting the channel that way is a good idea, and I'd really appreciate it. So thank you. Check that out. Now, we are here in Unifi Protect, and up here is the Driveway PTZ, as I have now called it. So let's go through the features and what it does. And then we will have a look at testing and using it, right? That sounds good? Okay. So the Driveway PTZ, or the AI PTZ, it isn't that different in Protect as such. It looks like all the other cameras, which I think is a good thing. It's not too difficult or too different to use, even though it's massive and has, all the other features, zoom, etc. So we have here the usual stuff: status, connection, model, etc., etc. It is a as I said, a 1 gigabit connection. So there's a fair amount of data that goes through it or comes from it. There is internal storage. So I have added an SD card to it, and this can take full-size SD cards as well as micro SDs. It comes with the adapter for micro SD, so that's kind of nice. I have put a random 64 gigabyte SD card in there. Installed SD card does not support reporting health status. Sure. I've used so far 25.7 gig of what's available. Storage capacity is 16 hours off. The recording mode is events only. So I am only recording events. That's all I have chosen to do as a local backup. The edge storage is local backup or internal storage here. It used to be called edge storage. We have the recording resolution, and then of course we can manage it. So we can choose what we want to record. So we do continuous or events only. Continuous with 64 gigabytes is not going to give you very much, not very long. So I've chosen events only, and the recording resolutions, high or low, and I can of course format it. And then they keep updating this Unifi. So now you can also download it. Initially, when I did this for the AI turret, that video, you could not download. You had to go and physically remove the card. You can now download the storage as well for a certain date time range. And then you download. Yeah, pretty simple. I am hoping that this will become a synchronized backup so that if there's an outage and that it doesn't record for whatever reason, but it still has power, it records to the internal. When it gets connection to the UNVR or whatever storage it's recording to, it will then sync to that, but that's not here yet. All right, let's have a look at recording settings. We have called Recording Manager. Again, this is the sort of the global settings for cameras. I'm not going to go through that in this video. We have recording options. Always is what I usually have. Continuous recording mode, because why not? We have the storage to do that. I want to create motion events. So these are not smart events. These are just motion, so a tree moving or whatever. So I have that on for the minute. And then we have AI events or smart detections, and I have enabled all of them. So if I click here, you can see we have animal, face, license plate, person, and vehicle, which are the ones you get for an AI camera from Unifi. And then we have, again, how long before and after you want to record. Recording quality, frames per second auto, or you can put custom up to 30. Auto is fine for me. I'm not too worried about frame rate, to be honest. It's not a huge criteria for me. I just need continuous recording. Video compression, auto is fine for me. Encoding, we have enhanced or standard. Enhanced, I believe, is 265, H265, and standard is H264. And then we have recording resolutions, 4K, 2K, or HD. I'm just going to go with 4K because it's crisp, as you'll see in a minute. And overlay information, I always have time and camera name. Recording retention auto, so I let the NVR decide how long I keep this for. If it was an important camera, you could say, must be kept for, whatever, a month, and then it would adjust the others. Motion, smart zones, and blackouts, I'll get to that a bit later, and we'll look at that in more detail because it's interesting with the PTZ. Settings, I have named it Driver PTZ. Night vision, I will show you the night vision. It is impressive, to say the least. But I have it on auto, and I have the IR filter and LED on, or you can turn the LED off as well if you don't want to have the infrared light from it. Tags is a grouping. You can select tags. I have llama cam tags, so you select, you can say it, but this is not a llama cam. It's an easy way of finding cameras if you have many. The home view, so this is where you go to when it's returning to base or home. I've set it to this view here that we have here. And we can share a live stream, we can manage alarms, and I have set up the RTSPS feed because Home Assistant uses that. Right, so those are all the features of the camera, which looks pretty much like any other Unifi camera, but that's probably where that stops. So here's the live view of the AI PTZ Industrial, and I want to just show you, well, all the features that are there. Oh, there's a car going. We can actually see this then in live. I didn't plan this, but there you go. The car's leaving. You can see here, it does the license plate recognition. It does all of the vehicle recognition, and it's got the confidence scores as well. So it goes out there and off it goes. That was kind of neat. By the way, good timing. Well, let's just go into it. If I want to zoom in here, I can use the arrow keys. So I'm going to turn the camera here, and I can use I to zoom in. Whoop, not go up. Whoop. It's a little bit of a delay on it, but let's zoom in here. You can see I'm zooming in here on the car. Almost got it. You can see it goes out there. There we go, goes out. Oh, whoopsie. Hey. Now what happened there, you can see the camera moved suddenly. I'll get to that a little bit later. That was an automation I've made, but I'll show you all about that. So now it's going to go back to home. So this is the home reset position that I have defined. Anyway, we started with that because there happened to be a car leaving. Very good. All right, so I'm going to start here up the top. There is the reset to home. So if I do move, and you can see if you want to know what you move, which keys to use to move the camera, they're down here. So direction, up, down, etc. So if I move up a bit and I press this reset to home, it will go back to home position. Pretty simple. I have some presets. These are specific positions for the camera, and I have 4. Now, if I click on this, it's going to go full screen, and because I'm on my 49-inch widescreen, it's going to look weird in the recording, so I won't do that just now, but there are 4 presets, and these are presets that you can set for specific positions and locations of the camera. Patrol mode, we can patrol between presets, so I'll show you that in just a second as well. And here we have the auto tracking. So what kind of events is the camera tracking? So there's a person, it'll track a person, and it'll use smart zoom. I'll show you that. It's actually kind of neat. It's much better than the G5 PTZ. We can enable mouse control. So if I click on that, I can then use the mouse here to move the camera around like that. I prefer to use the keys anyway, so I don't use the mouse control, but you can. Then we have the shortcuts. This is the same as on any other camera from Unifi. So shortcuts are, you can click here and I can say, well, that camera there is actually the carport 2. And then you can link between. It's a bit like, you know, the old computer games where you would click on a thing to go to the next screen. It's a bit the same, but I can save that. So you can add a whole bunch of those. I tend to add those. I haven't added those right now, but you can see now here that I can go to that camera if I wanted to. We have the snapshot, so the events here, what do you want to see on the screen? As you just saw, we saw the vehicle and the license plate. We can take a snapshot, so that's just an image or a picture, and we can add to a case. This is the case management feature of Unifi Protect, and it is on the left here. Yeah, case manager. So, for example, say you had a weird car that came in, and you want to track it. You can build up a case with all the different cameras that have tracked this vehicle and put notes on it, etc. It's quite neat. Check it out if you haven't. And then we have the settings for the camera. Those are all the things you have on here in terms of controls. Right. So let's use the camera. I'll actually show you how good it is. So we have here, this is the one-time zoom, and it's quite clear. Now I'm just going to zoom into 22 where it is, and I'll show you just how clear it becomes. So down here I can press the little plus, and there's a zoom here, and I can just press on 22 and it'll zoom in. So that's one way of zooming in. And just look at that once it focuses. It's just sharp. It's just crystal clear. 22 times zoom. And this is still, as I said, a 4K image. It is, right? Okay, so let me just turn the camera. So if I go left, see here, and there's a slight delay. I'm still local network, but you know, yeah, a tiny, 0.2, 0.3 seconds maybe. I just noticed that this keeps staying there. That's not particularly useful, is it? That's not super helpful. Anyway, hopefully that'll be fixed in the future, because that's not where carport 2 is anymore. Anyway, and I can of course zoom, go up and down, etc. And as I said, it is endless. If I just hold down left, it goes into the shed and it's just gonna keep turning. There is no stop. It's endless pan, which is pretty cool. All right, so for example here, let's see, can we see up there? Guess what's there? Can you see it? No, you can't, but let me fix that for you. I'm gonna zoom in here to 22 times zoom. That's not what I wanted, it wasn't the gate. We'll go up, whoa! So what I wanted to show you, once it gets to the final zoom, it actually slows down the camera, so it matches the zoom level, as in, I hold down the level, you can see it doesn't go that fast, which is pretty neat. So let's go over here, and we'll find our friends. There he is. Hello. There we go. That's Barnaby, I think. but look how clear it is. I'm impressed. 22 times zooms, and it's just super, super clear. And I think there was another one of his friends was over here. Maybe, oh, there he is. There's one there, and there's one up here. So the llamas are there. So I could have remote llama cam, kinda. But I think you get the idea, and it is very, very clear. I'm very impressed because this is, I don't see any artifacts that shouldn't be there in a 4K image. It just focuses beautifully. Anyway, so that's the camera. We'll have a little bit more of a look a little bit later when we do the night footage. All right, so I want to show you this smart zoom for the follow mode. So remember how it had, it's detecting people and it's following the people, and it had smart zoom. Let me show you what that is, because it's quite impressive, I think. If you remember my G5 PTZ video, when following people, it was very, very jerky. Now look at this. So here's me coming. I'm looking at my phone. I'm walking up to the office. I'm about to record this. It recognizes my face. I'm looking up, going hi. But look how it follows it. Smooth. Really, really smooth. Yep, I'm a bit of confused there, but there's no jerkiness like the other one would move a bit, stop, move a bit, stop, move a bit, stop. This is just smooth. It works really, really well. It just follows people really smoothly. I can't say that smoothly enough. But yeah, look, and it just continues to follow me all the way up to the office here. And there's the Yabo. Look, it's Chunk. Chunk made it into the video. That's just, yeah, that works really well. Right, so let's have a look at presets and patrol mode. So up here is presets. And if I click on that, it goes to full screen. Unfortunately, that's just how this works. I can't not have full screen. Presets are a way of having a specific point, so zoom and direction that you want to save, such as my gate. So if I click on the gate, it will go and zoom in on the gate here. And we're going to use that a little bit later, so I'll show you why I have that. But I got 4. I have gate, start patrol, end patrol, and middle patrol. You can probably guess where this is going. So I have defined those presets. It is as simple as, just let's say we go back here, and I can just go to wherever. So if I turn the camera here, we'll go, say, up to here. I'll go to presets, and I can add that, save that as a preset. And there it is, preset. We give it a name. We'll call this one Woolshed. Right, as simple as that, and we can save that. Now, with patrol mode, so if I just go back to home here, with patrol mode, you can patrol between a number of presets. So I have already made a patrol. So if you just look at, if we edit that, I have 3 presets, start, middle, and end, which is a patrol. So it goes from one to the other. And you can say here, presets durations, 10 to 60 seconds. So in this case, I'm just 10 seconds at each preset. So it's a way of going between them, right? So if I need to use this patrol, I need to hit play here. And you can see here that it'll start by going a bit to the right. So that's the start of the preset, right? And then it'll wait 10 seconds as we defined, and then it will go to the middle preset. Now, if there are things that happens at these presets, there's a person walking by or whatever, you can of course have events for that, and you can react to those things with the camera, which is the whole idea. So it patrols from one to the other. Now I have 3 here. You can have, I'm assuming, as many as you'd like, and there's the last one there as well. And then at the end, it will then go back to the start. Now, I can't tell it not to go past the shed. Like I can't get it to turn, counterclockwise instead of clockwise. It just takes the shortest route because, of course, it is endless pan. So, yeah, then it's back to the start. So that's patrol mode. Now, the only thing that you can't do with patrol mode, which I would have liked, is that you can't schedule it. There's no way to schedule a patrol. You have to click play. At least not that I can find. That would be nice because I'm going to forget. Like if you want patrol mode and you want to use it, you might not want to have it the whole time. You might want to have during business hours, you want to just focus on the entrance to a certain place, and then out of business hours, you want a patrol mode or something. I could see that happening, but I can't see a way of doing that unless I'm missing it. So let me know down in the comments. And if you can't, maybe it'll come later. Well, fingers crossed. Yeah, so that's patrol mode. All right, so you might be familiar with the motion zones for smart detections and just motion in general that Unifi has. They're a little bit quirky or odd on the PTZ cameras. Let me show you. So if I go to settings here on the camera, I have motion zones here, and I've created another one here called new zone 001 because I'm very inventive. But if we edit this default zone here, you can see I've changed this slightly here. So if I move this down here maybe, and I actually don't want that to be there or there. So I just want to collect or get motion within this area, right? So this pink area. Now, if I go back out here and I move the camera and I go back to the zones and I want to edit this, it's still the same. Even though I've changed the angle of the camera, it's still the same motion zone. So it doesn't follow, it doesn't know where it was set. I hope that makes sense. So if you create a motion zone for smart detection or motion, it's for the entire 360, wherever you move the camera, all the time, right? So it's a little bit tricky because I might have an angle where I do want this top bit, like this angle, for example, here. So I don't really want to have something that's not detected, you know what I mean? The only thing that does seem to matter when it comes to rotation and where the camera is the privacy, the blackout, which makes sense. So let's say I had a new blackout zone here, and I never ever want to see this water tank bit, right? Or something. But if we move that here, and we move that up here, and then we move it up here, we say that bit should never ever be recorded, right? That's what privacy zone is. I go save, new privacy zone blackout. Then if I go out here, it is here the whole time. As I move the camera, it will move, the blackout or the privacy zone will be there the whole time. So that's cool. That's as it should work, I think. So now I have a privacy zone there and it'll always be there. So why can't we do that with the motion zones? I know mathematically it's probably complicated, but if you can do it with one, why not with the other? Anyway, that's how they work. Now, one thing I did notice, which is a little bit peculiar, I think, if I go to my G5 PTZ camera, so that's down here, and it's very similar. It doesn't have patrol mode, but it has everything else, presets, etc. I go to settings. I have motion zones. Sure, I have smart zones. I also have crossing lines. Yeah. This PTZ camera can use crossing lines, which is basically an event for if something crosses a line, a vehicle or person or whatever. So why can't I have that for the AI PTZ? This does not have crossing lines. Maybe that's coming in a future update, but I would like that. I use that for opening my gate in one instance. So that would be nice. But yeah, that's the motion zones. They're a little bit different on PTZ cameras. They still work, kind of, but they're more sort of a catch-all. They're not as specific unless it's the privacy zones. Yeah. So you remember before when I showed you zooming in on the camera and suddenly it moved, it jerked because a car came in? Yeah, so I have a preset, as I showed you before, which is the gate, right? So the camera zooms in way down on the gate and a specific point. There's a preset for that. If I go to the alarm manager, so that's here on the left, and so you can't see it behind my photo, but it's on there, bottom left. I have a car entering gate trigger. Let me show you how that works. So if I edit that alarm, so if there's a vehicle, so an object or vehicle, so this is a trigger, and it's on the gate camera, so this is a vehicle coming in or out of the gate, I can then have an action, which is the PTZ, the driveway PTZ camera, the AI PTZ, go to the gate preset, right? So as something comes in or out of the gate, I can then move this camera to that preset as an action based on a trigger. That's kind of neat. So you can imagine a whole bunch of scenarios where this might be relevant. If you have patrol mode on, for example, and something happens as an event, you can move the camera to that point. If you want to monitor that specific point, as long as it is a preset. So yeah, I just want to show you that because that's kind of neat. And of course, you can do other things. You can have many things that has that action, right? So if you could have, for example, a face ID, if there's specific face, a known face, let's say, me or whatever, and it's on let's say the front door camera, not the gate, then you could have the same PTZ trigger. It moves to that location. That's really neat. I like that. I just wanted to show you that because it's one of the sort of automations or integrations that you can do now with the Unifi ecosystem because the alarm manager, which actually does a lot of stuff. So let me show you that in action. So here's a car coming in the gate. So you can see here that the Range Rover is coming up here. And of course the gate camera here has detected that there's a vehicle. So then if I go to the driveway PTZ camera, you can see that shortly it will then zoom in on that location as soon as it gets a trigger. There we go. Now the car's not going to come up this side of the driveway, but you get the idea. It's detected it, and we have another view of it. It works a treat. Really neat. And then it goes back after 5-10 seconds or something. There you go. All right, I did mention this before, but this camera has 100 meters infrared range. Yeah, 100 meters. Anyway, I've tried recording that so I can show you. This is no infrared at all. So I have a few cameras that show infrared or have an infrared light, and I've turned them all off. So the light you're seeing here is there's a window with a light in it that's in the house, and down here at the gate is an actual light. So there's a light on the house number. So I couldn't turn that off for this, but it gives you some perspective, right? So let me show you what happens when I turn on the infrared light on the AI PTZ. Here we go. So I'm gonna hit play. Just give it a second here. And then I turn on the infrared light and look at that. So it's adaptive, so it doesn't blow out everything. So if it was in a small space, it wouldn't, bleach out everything. So it's impressive. You can see everything. You can absolutely see everything. And then I move the camera here, and you can see, I'm just going to pause it. Okay. Down here, the gate is about 80-90 meters away from the camera. So yeah, there's a light down there, okay? But the II is actually illuminating down to here, so at least 50-60 meters. And I think it's probably holding it a bit back because there's a tree right here, and there's a tree here, and there's a tree here, right? But this is the best I can test it with. But this is impressive, right? If you look at other cameras, yeah, you get a long range, but it would never illuminate this bit down here. Not like it would be tiny bit. You can sort of maybe see the contour of it, but yeah, this is properly strong IR, like really. So the night footage is actually really good. Let me just find you another example on something that we can see moving. So here is a wombat, and you can see it identifies as an animal. Now it's not zooming in because it only does that with people. Remember, there was a person to follow and a smart zoom for the person, not with animals. But you can see here that the light comes on. So that's the security light comes on. It freezes because, oh, no, light. But yeah, it's pretty clear. Okay, let me just find you an example of a person. All right, so here is Fiona Cummings. She's going out early for, whatever it is that she's doing, probably yoga, I'm assuming. But there she comes, and it identifies immediately there's a person. You can see there's infrared around her from the other lights. Those are infrared, light sources. But again, smart zoom. It's just tracking her the whole way, really clear. And you can see it's not blowing out either. It's adapting the IR LED rather to what it is filming. It's pretty impressive. That is clear. That is really good. And then it's going to go back to home screen again. Once it stops tracking, it goes back to home. And you can see it adapts the IR again. So very, very clever adaptive infrared light to make sure we get the best image. It works really well. I'm really impressed. It's probably the best night vision I've seen of any of the Unifi cameras. The AI Pro with the enhancer is close, but yeah, this is impressive. So yeah, I like it. So that's the AI PTZ Industrial from Unifi. What a monster of a camera. If there's something that I've missed, something that you thought I should have tested, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to kind of reply to it if I can test it or if I know already. I've been using it for a couple of days now, so I have somewhat of an idea of what it can do. But as always, if you enjoy the content that I create, consider subscribing down below. There's a big red button. It's really tasty. If you click on it, magic happens and you become part of the community. If you are interested in supporting the channel even more, you can put a thumbs up or a super thanks, or you can become a member. I am giving more value to members. I'm creating behind the scenes stuff, extra videos, that sort of stuff for members. So I'd love for you to join me if you are keen. And of course, there's always the merchandise that you can check out. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what other questions you have. I'd love to hear from you, whether you like the AI PTZ. And yes, I am considering, well, not considering, I am going to do the G6 PTZ if I can get my hands on it. I know that was one of the questions that I got asked a fair bit. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.